Hello everyone. It's not often that I play the same map twice, even less so I do that in a short period of time. And I don't think I ever before also recorded both of my playthroughs. After my first playthrough I had this idea of making an attempt to finish the Mysterious Island in under 2 months. And here we are. Welcome to the part 1 speedrun playthrough of the Mysterious Island. It is my first playthrough that I consider to be a full-on speedrun. Generally, I do play pretty fast, but beyond having fun solving logistical and combat puzzles, I don't really concern myself with finishing as fast as possible when I play. And for this playthrough, I wanted to pull out all tricks out of my head, do everything feasible to achieve a lower time. There is one exception later on which I will stress and rant about, but other than that I did my best to get the lowest time I could. Okay, so let's first discuss the setting of this game. So first I had to generate a starting save with some requirements. And as I shown in the beginning, starting artifact must have been a necklace of swiftness. Initially I was also fine with the Ring of Oppression, Ring of Suppression and Spirit of Oppression, but as I was considering these options, I decided that the necklace is a superior option for a speedrun. Neutral enemy morale is more of a convenience factor than something that gives me an edge, and necklace on the other hand gives me an edge in the beginning and is one of the best necklaces throughout the entire game. So that's the artifact. And another important point is that in my first playthrough I started, you could say, pretty aggressive. I expanded in 2 directions right away. I went to both my secondary towns basically, right? And I had to basically delay my scout and keymaster tent. Well, here my goal is to do all 3 at the same time. So I need to be able to be even more aggressive. I want to advance to both of the towns and to scout. An important condition for that is to get Shakti in a starting tavern. Shakti with a decent number of troglodytes can do surprisingly well against nomads that guard the scout, and even more so with the necklace of swiftness that I rolled. And also to help Gunnar for his attack on Inferno town, I had to roll a second hero in a tavern that also is a dungeon, so I wouldn't have to mix my units, would be able to muster some sort of an army for Gunnar. Another thing that is not something I normally do, but I thought it would be very appropriate for a speedrun. So I set specific factions for my enemies, and for specific reasons for the most part. So for example, for the blue player I chose Tower, even though I need Jotuns for my late game plan, which I will discuss obviously later. I thought that having Titans after I beat blue would be a bit more beneficial, as they're a more versatile unit. For the brown player I chose Factory. It's mostly to get a good army to later take a tent garrison with purely factory units. In a very similar way, basically, in the same way I did in my first playthrough. The key is Factory's ability to automaton bomb the garrison before attacking it. And also, halflings are one of the best shooters across low tiers. So my plan is to take out Brown as early as possible, and I won't be able to take the garrison right away. So I need a guaranteed way to take it later without having to bring an army there. And I think it's a good time to make a short segue into logistics on this map. So there is a mansions system, and thanks to it, it's possible to get to any player's starting position with your army. The problem is that in order to do that, you need to have a corresponding tent. So until you have the tent, you don't have this ability to bring your army and take this tent, right? So the game plan must account for your ability to either take keymaster tents right away, or be able to take them later with limited resources. So that's kind of a tricky part, I think, about early and mid-game plan. Okay, so that's why basically factory is chosen, because there is a very solid way to take it without main army. It's keymaster tent without main army. And back to my factions choice. So for the green player I chose Fortress because it's a bit easier to fight against. I wouldn't have to risk accurate shot, which I intend to bring Titans to fight a green player, so that would be pretty annoying. And in general I think Fortress is a little bit easier to confront. For the purple player I chose Rampart. I want to make sure purple will have Pegasi build, ideally upgraded for me, and beyond that there is really very little difference between two choices. And for the teal player I chose Conflux because it's generally easier to handle than Necropolis. But also, most importantly, I need Phoenixes in the end game, and setting Conflux for teal is really the only way to get them in a fast-paced game, as I would not be able to build them myself. Okay, so as you can see, Shakti is on his way towards my scout. He has a necklace of swiftness. Other than that, the game goes pretty similar to my first playthrough. Now, Shakti has a necklace of swiftness. This terrain is dungeon native, and he is a troglodyte specialist, so his troglodytes actually have speed 7. And that's the same speed as unupgraded goats, or as same goes for nomads in a later fight. And it's gonna help me for sure. I put my troglodytes a little bit forward so that some of the goats were placed a little bit backward, like those 2 stacks above. So I put them on the edge of my most advanced units, and my bigger stack was a little bit further back, so they wanted to avoid getting into its range, and thanks to this setup they were actually too far to hit me this turn. So now I want to see what's the turn order. I want to lose my first, ideally, troglodytes with higher initiative here, so that my big stack started moving earlier than enemy units. And I lost one already, and now I can actually prevent one of the goats taking the turn. I will probably have to take a hit here, but that's still pretty good fight, even if I do. So you may wonder what prompted me to do the speedrun, especially since very little time passed since my first playthrough. And there are many reasons, like that's very hard to point just a single reason. First off, huge run, the current record holder demonstrated that it is possible to do it in under 2 months. And I was fortunate to get his permission to have his save files. While his game is impressive in a way, I was able to learn a few things from him. I was still a bit surprised that he was playing very passively in the beginning. So that's surprising that he actually managed to get under 2 months time playing like that, but I understand why he might have decided to play passively though, because as I mentioned, the Keymaster tent related logistics. If you come to an enemy player and don't take its Keymaster tent right away, you have to come back later, and it spells all sorts of complications. And so I guess that's why he was playing passive first. He basically was accumulating power, going for the Dragon Quest, and then trying to rush forward for victory. Still, I saw some minor improvements even in the mid game for his game plan, and I didn't check the end game. So it kind of gave me an idea that I could maybe post a respectable time. And also, since I played very recently, I still had some memory of the map, so delaying it further, maybe it would be a little bit harder to kind of get the hang of the map again, right? And also, I think some people seem to think that Cove is the only faction fit for speedrunning here, and I do not agree with that. Frankly, I don't even think it's necessarily the best faction for that, to be honest with you. So I wanted to show that a respectable time is at least possible with a non-Cove faction. And I'm sorry to anyone who wanted to see a different faction in play. I ended up choosing Dungeon again, but I think that's actually the best, at least among non-Cove, I don't know. But as I said, I actually do believe that Cove is not the best, mainly because of the map position, rather than anything else. And after I weighed some strengths and weaknesses of different factions, I decided that honestly Dungeon is the best choice, at least for me. And there were a few things I considered, but I won't be going over them right away. I will mention them though as we go. We probably won't come across all of the relevant points in the first part, but there are some very interesting details, I think, that favor Dungeon. For this playthrough I chose different heroes. As you can see, I did not go for Arlak. I actually chose Gurnison, and there are some other changes as well. So Also, as you can see, Gurnison is doing the job of Arlok with just a single harpy. Arlok brought 8 beholders with him, but now I need more army for Gunnar, because he had to give away all troglodytes for Shakti. So let's go actually over my heroes. The heroes I chose. And I had a very specific endgame plan in mind. After my first playthrough, I thought about one really big improvement, specifically for the endgame, which, if you simply judge the logistical effort in my previous game, was pretty good actually as it was, but there is a way to simplify logistics in a major way, and also get much better time in the process. And I don't want to spoil you any specifics yet, but for that to work I need 3 strong heroes, not to mention, obviously, a decently developed supporting cast. And I chose the following heroes. Basically, I will use both logistics specialists I have access for, so that's Gunnar and Dessa. That choice is very obvious. I want to have maximum speed on the map. Gurnison, as I said, is a much better version than Arlok. In my opinion, Arlok was a laughing stock in my first playthrough. He had something like a 4 attack by level 10, or something like that. And he's, by the way, an overlord, a warrior class. Gurnison, on the other hand, starts with 4 attack right away, and because he's a barbarian, his attack grows very fast. And by the way, attack is by far the most important skill for the artillery user in the early game, because it doesn't just increase attack for your units and artillery, it also increases flat damage numbers for your ballista. So getting even 1 or 2 more points in attack increases damage very significantly. Also, I will use Aiden. Aiden is my hero for the late game for the most part, because of his specialty. And also I plan to build him specifically to counter the Night King. And he's gonna be the only hero in my roster to have water magic. So also for my start save, I had to actually make sure that all heroes can roll the skills I want them to roll. And well, that fortunately, with very minor adjustments, I was able to do that. And so, you know, what I did is basically having a save. I would take a hero and use cheats to get his levels and experiment with level ups. So basically what you do is you pinpoint levels at which he is offered a new skill that you need, and then you experiment taking and not taking the skill, and depending on that he's gonna be offered different level ups later on, and so you kind of can get a something like a tree of leveling. And also, thanks to having access to witch huts and hermit shacks and similar buildings on a map, you actually can get some flexibility, as if you visit, for example, a witch hut here, it changes your further development. So there is some way most of the time to get skills that you need if you can plan ahead like this. Okay, so that's, I think, most part what I wanted to say about my plans for now. Also, I may have sounded a little bit critical of Hugh Tran's speedrun before, but I must say, even though in terms of execution I felt that he could have done a bit better, in terms of theory improvements he did a splendid job, I think, and he used some of the very interesting ideas, and I used some of his ideas in this game, in my speedrun. I will mention them as we go as well. Okay. So Shakti freed Lorelei on the previous turn. And Lorelei is gonna basically rush forward towards the tent. My idea is to free Simka with Aiden here. Simka has 4 manticores, or actually a scorpicore and 3 manticores. And I will bring this army to Lorelei to do the fight against Ifrits. Also, you see armadillos there guarding the Beholder dwelling. It was one of the things I actually one of the reasons I chose dungeon. If you pay attention to, you can roll back the video after that if you wanna see. They are located next to my town. Also, this town is dungeon, so it has a mana vortex later on, so I will be able to use it to double my mana. Also, this town has a resurrection in its guild, so there will be times when I want to bring my heroes to that town. And having a neutral monster nearby, that also you can see there is a flag next to them, so you can pretty much visit the flag and attack armadillos without losing that much in terms of movement, probably around 100 to 200 movement points in total. And so they give me this way to well, they don't give me the way to bring my heroes there. I will have to use some other neutral monster to do that, but what they do is they allow me to move this hero back or to some other location very fast. Sort of a poor man's town portal, if you wish. So Gunnar is gonna be doing this fight with basically nothing. As you can see, he has like 8 beholders and 11 harpies. And I want to use, you may have noticed the way I put my harpies, 10 harpies, is that I want to make sure that they are kind of a threat factor. They're in a position to make sure that mummies don't really want to go on that side of the crevice or whatever this thing is. Unfortunately, they still come there. So even though it did help me win a little bit of time. It did not fully solve my problems here. Still, I was able to win a little bit of the time there, as you can see. Okay, very fortunately did not lose anything important, at least. In terms of town's progress, my game is pretty much the same as in the previous playthrough, but I already have a scout by this time, so kind of quite a meaningful improvement. Pretty nice fight against Minotaurs. Ballista specialists are actually extremely strong, as you probably know, in the early game. Just a single Scorpion core to basically deal with pretty big enemies, as you can see. In this playthrough I will be using retreat with my heroes, retreat and rehire very much. So in my first playthrough I think I used it quite a bit, but in this game it's actually just another level, I think. And up to this point I mostly was spending money on getting new heroes and barely could build anything. And here I need to hire another hero. And he's gonna bring he's gonna chain the army to Lorelei. He's gonna be the missing link. my plan is like, let's talk maybe like my short plans, right? So after I take the tent, I want to quickly visit the library as well. So in general, how I see the path from day one to the day when you start attacking enemies is, well, you get your scout, you get your towns, you get your tent, and you get your artifacts. Artifacts are available around your tent, some of them, and some of them are next to the library. So these are two locations you actually want to clear. Early game, these artifacts give you a very considerable power increase, and with them you can start being aggressive. At least if you do it fast. Obviously, if you clear it by months 2, maybe it's a little bit too late to just rely on that. So you would need a little bit more than that. And so basically I want to do that and immediately attack the brown player. I think orange location on the map is very beneficial for that. So as I said, there is a way to handle the brown player's garrison later. And there is also another strategic benefit for me killing brown early on. I will mention it later, and I also will propose you to guess my intended use for intended strategic goal, I guess, strategic reason for dealing with brown. But that's gonna be later, okay? I'll give you some hints. So, if you look at the map, brown player is located in the top right corner of the map. And for all intents and purposes, if you go and take him out, it's basically like a dead end, so you need to bring your army back if you want to use it. And since I rushed towards the brown player with very small army, so the army that can't take any tents, so that's actually a perfect player to start with. For example, it would be worse if I went for the blue, for example, because this way I would not eliminate the dead end, and also I'm kind of posed a question: should I go back or should I continue at this point? And if I continue with the same small army as I went to the first AI player, and with this small army I might not be able to take further tents as well. So that's kind of a tricky part. So brown is kind of a very natural choice for early aggression in a way, and this fight is something I really love about this game. I mean, I think it's a kind of fights like these are something that I really appreciate about it. Probably something that makes me come back to this game after so many years. And you'll see why. I'm just getting my setup ready, and as you can see, the Cerberus is now blocking the path for everyone else, and I mean, that's beautiful. If not for this small detail, my army is just nowhere near to deal with. What looks like over 20 hellhounds, like well over 20 actually, close to 30. I also considered not actually even going to free Rashka here, because it's a very distant location. But I decided to do that. Kind of Gunnar flank has a little bit of a downtime there. Lorelei visits the tent this day, so I already sent Dessa towards library, and now I will chain army to him. Chaining is obviously a huge part of this game, and frankly it's one of the best parts in my opinion. It very much enriches the strategic options. Even though it's like, if you look at it kind of from a critical perspective, it's obviously unrealistic that your army can move so far. Okay, I want to speed up Dessa there, gave him a Scorpion Core. And I also want Gurnison to take the stables while I'm at it. Also, I will upgrade Harpies. And that's my first, more or less, expenditure. I mean, I built fort on the previous day. That you could say it was my first expenditure on the army, but Harpies kind of is a meaningful spending, not investment into the future. So I shouldn't spend a lot of any more money, I think, at this point, because I will have to free Rashka. Rashka will cost 4.4k gold. So I mentioned the heroes I chose, and I mentioned that I think I mentioned for my end game I need 3 strong heroes and a cast of developed secondaries, and so let's talk about like who's my main hero and who's my secondary and what do I expect from them, right? Like without getting into maybe too much details. So my main heroes are Gunnar and Dessa, obviously, because I want them to be running a lot, and as I develop them, they're getting faster, and it means I can be faster on the map. And a third hero is Aiden, and he also has a very good scaling specialty, so I actually want him developed as well. And my goal level for main heroes, at least level 20 by the time I reach Nautilus. So when I get all 10s, I want my 3 of these heroes to be at level 20 or higher. So that's kind of already a challenge, if you ask me, but a manageable challenge. Also, ideally you would want to have other heroes of levels, ideally 16 or more. Level 16 enables your heroes to enter the Bloodbath, the mansion system from Nautilus, which could be useful a few times, or at least level 13, so that they could enter the mansion system from player locations. Could also be occasionally beneficial, and ideally you would want to have expert logistics and pathfinding on all of your heroes, really. These are your driving skills. And Dessa, I have a very specific plan for Dessa. So he's gonna be the only hero with air magic in my roster, and I think it's a little bit of a mistake on my part, but I still managed to kind of... Okay, let me explain. So in my first playthrough, when I fought green dragons, I fought them with Gundula, who was more or less similar, who fulfilled a similar role to what I want to use Dessa for. And she had expert air magic at that point, and thanks to a haste and thanks to a cape of velocity, her unupgraded troglodytes would actually come before the dragons. That helped me a lot, so I managed to win the fight without losses because of it. And I had this idea that I actually need expert haste for this fight, which in reality is actually not true, at least not with Necklace of Sweetness. Because if you don't bring troglodytes, and I won't, what you really need is just a dungeon creature with speed 7 to outspeed dragons. So the fight is on the dungeon terrain, so that's +1. We also have a Cape of Velocity, that's +2, and a Necklace of Swiftness, that's another +1. So that's +4 speed. So a speed 7 creature becomes speed 11, and green dragons have speed 10. So, kind of looking at it from in a hindsight, it's definitely not something I had to do. But it still worked out, so pretty nicely actually. If I had to have air magic, it worked even, you could say, too beautifully. So basically my priority at this point is to develop this as fast as possible. Another condition for the fight against dragons, so I want to clear them as fast as possible. For the reference, Hutron cleared them on 6th day of the 4th week, if I recall correctly. And he basically started pushing the very same day in two directions. So from that point he was pretty fast, and I wanted to be actually a little bit faster, because I mean I intend to deal with the brown before that, but ideally I want to deal with the blue also before that, but it's kind of a really tough thing to do, logistically for the most part. So blue is gonna be my first player against after the dragons, and at that point I just can't branch my units, my heroes, in two directions, so I will have to advance in one direction for some time. So it may be a little bit slower for a couple of days, so I don't really want to waste any time with dealing with dragons, and the best way to deal with them without losses or with minimal losses is to have a resurrection spell. And so my plan is to basically develop this to have at least advanced earth and expert air magic by the time he fights the dragons. And it is according to plan, so it's level 15. So I need to develop him pretty hard, pretty far. And I also need to build resurrection, the guild mage guild, obviously. So what I'm doing here is preparing a chain towards Gunnar. Dessa will plunder the churchyard here and get ready to enter the portal, and my other heroes need to be in positions to bring army forward to Gunnar. Also, I visited the pathfinding hut with Dessa. It actually fixed her development path, or his. I actually constantly confuse his or her. Okay, his development path is very demanding. Okay, so I had to visit the pathfinding hut there, and it's very useful hut, obviously. So I don't want to be wasting time here with Gunnar, and he's gonna go straight towards the brown player, basically. Rashka will have to take the fight against Ifrits to take the Boots of Speed. That's a very much a needed artifact. So that's the hero chain, basically. I'm building. These heroes will bring army to Gunnar on next day. Also an interesting thing, okay, maybe I will mention it a little bit later. I will, okay. I don't know. I mean, if I explain a kind of important thing right now, you might just not get the right idea, but like just as maybe like a small point of interest. At this point, maybe at least up to week 3, day 1, I was actually reloading autosaves several times, and I needed to get both brown and blue players to actually pretty specific positions. So I will show you later what happened in my first go when I did not do that, and actually blue player threw me a range into my plans, unfortunately, and so I kind of actually had to go and experiment with autosaves a little bit, load the same autosave multiple times and the turn and see if AI movement can be a little bit different. And so I actually did that to help me like in multiple ways. So I needed to prevent blue player from coming to a specific place, and also I wanted the brown player to be kind of pretty close to where I want him, so that I did not delay, or so that he would not delay me when I come. So for my plan I need to kill both blue and brown players, not just leave them alive for some time, bruised but still alive. Since I need to come back later to take the tent, I need the town to come back to, and naturally I just can't leave these players alone. And also obviously you don't want to spend time chasing their heroes. As you probably imagine, it's not gonna be very helpful for a speedrun. Okay, Lorelei got expert logistics, it's pretty nice. Kind of as I said, my secondary heroes, for the most part, I want them to get logistics and pathfinding developed as soon as possible. I will bring Ballista to an Ifrit fight there. It's gonna help a little bit. Haste on Harpies to make sure that they outspeed Ifrits, who are, even though they have the same speed, but they're on their native ground here. So my quick Necklace of Swiftness does not give me a turn priority. So okay, let me explain like a general idea of attacking. So I did use it, the same idea basically when I played a Dream Master map recently. So if you kind of use a single hero to attack in a single direction, you move at most at the speed of this hero. You could help him or her with other heroes to maybe do some side tasks, maybe remove guards, maybe collect things, but in general your speed will be limited by the speed of your hero unless you use a tavern or taverns in towns this hero might be capturing, or maybe even open world taverns, to bring your other heroes to the front and also keep pushing with them. So basically what you'll see here is Gunnar is gonna be pushing to take a factory town. I think that town is neutral at this point. And I will prepare Dessa to come to that town and push further the very same day, basically. And I will upgrade imps as well to get 7 speed on all of my creatures. I could have dismissed them, but I figured that having a couple of expendable units could be useful. Also ended the turn very nicely on this hill fort. If I didn't get to it, it would be 5 speed end of the turn, and now it's 7 speed. Lorelei is gonna be ready to also retreat to that new town I will take, and she will have to deal with Ifrits in that location. Ifrits also guard the speeds of boots of speed. Speeds of boot is actually pretty could be a phrase, I guess. I don't know what that would mean. So having as many boots of speed and gloves is obviously very beneficial. Also, this interesting location, I will clear everything up and use skeletons to retreat with Dessa. And I need Dessa to visit stables, so I will spend a little bit money. Dessa will come here, visit stables, and then I will dismiss him back. I want him as well to have all mana he has, so I want him to end the turn in a town. And that town will be my second dungeon, where I have left a monster nearby, armadillos, to make it easy next day for a stationed Hogerizon hero to actually retreat to some other place. He has some movement points to spare, so he will pick up Gams. Also build a mage guild, obviously. because otherwise I would not be restoring any mana. It's kind of a basically one-day stables, but it will allow Dessa to reach an important objective next day. So it's definitely worth it. So I see that blue player released the scout. That's very nice. Very nice. Unfortunately, he's not gonna open the tent for me, and I will have to actually even wait. It's kind of a bit of a sad story, but that's fine. It's not like I will be just standing still there waiting. I will have to plan accordingly, I guess. I'll use Ifrit to bait nomads. It wasn't necessary, really. I could just gain up on them and kill them pretty fast as well, but this way it's a little bit safer. And Gunnar barely reached the town, which is kind of a nice thing about all this planning. So thanks to the boots and thanks to the fact that he did not wait a second, moved forward. He had enough movement to actually take a couple of mines previous day as well. I could have skipped a mine. Worst case scenario. So I have a couple of familiars here, which I hope they will help me. Yeah, so that's not a great start. Yeah, occasionally morale has been annoying me. A very fortunate development of events, I would say. Yeah, just move Harpies away so that he would not attack anything useful. And then maybe even remove retaliation and deal with this last Ifrit. Okay, so familiars played their role. Lorelei got pathfinding advanced, pretty nice. So I built second mage guild here for the lightning bolt on Dessa, since Dessa was here. That was quite nice. Dessa will have to fight Brown, so naturally I want naturally I want him to have some decent magic. And also that's why he spent the day in a town, so he has mana to actually cast this magic as well. I have 2 full sets of boots and gloves, that's great. Now I will need to hire a hero here. As you can see, I barely have any money. I even barely build anything. And I barely have any money to spare. Okay, there is a brown hero. He has probably like around a half of what brown has at this point, but for the most part in form of halflings, whom I already almost killed. And soon I will have to collect that bit of gold that I need to hire a hero. I will actually use Elmer later as well. Gave him a halfling so that he did not have pathfinding penalty there and could reach Dessa. Dessa reached the bucket, so I needed to visit stables to reach that watering hole there. Very useful, as you can imagine. So basically I don't want to be staying at brown player for too long. So at this point I want to be constructing a chain back. I'll have some time to do that, so Dessa will need to deal with the brown before I can depart from there. But that's a very long distance to cover, so I need to start preparing this chain right away. So I'm probably checking my notes on Aiden. Basically, I wrote down at which levels he is supposed to take new skills. I mean, for every hero. Also, do not disregard the resource objects and piles as well, because I need to build Mage Guild level 4 pretty soon as well. So, and I would prefer not to have to trade for it, because trading would be less efficient, and I would need all resources, so it's kind of not basically risks not having some other resource or money later on. Just clear the guards here and also use this as a way to develop Dessa. And also she has, because I removed Evil Eyes from her army, or his army, easily. Previous day, he actually has enough movement to visit the stables on the way, and that's day 1. Very useful. So unfortunately, this AI built level 2 Mage Guild. It means that he's gonna likely have lightning ice bolt on its heroes. Well, we'll see. Okay, so that's another time that I will use kind of a chain, you could say. I don't know, what would you call it even. So the thing when you use one hero to capture a town and then you basically retreat another hero to the same town to keep pushing. So Gunnar will have to take the barbarian town, and this town has a very significant strategic value for me, and you can prepare for a small puzzle I have for you. Puzzle? I don't know. A question to think about. Gunnar needs to move to the next location, but not too fast. Okay, I managed to build something. That's very impressive. Also, this town I captured has a capital. Thank you, brown player, very much. It's gonna help me with my finances. Unfortunately, not in a meaningful way. I will still manage to spend all of my money somehow. Gunnar also, since he has some time to prepare and he's a badass and very fast, he has some time to also gather harpies on his way. And by the way, around this point I actually realized that I made a mistake when I was planning his build. So I mentioned I used kind of some cheats, leveling up basically with a cheat to see how he develops further and to choose a development tree for the game. And it turned out that I was doing it on a start save when I actually did not consider that he would pick up a scholar that advances his logistics. So it kind of messes the leveling tree up a little bit. And it turned out that it actually breaks his build. Fortunately, it still turned out salvageable. Okay, in this fight I actually I was a little bit sad because I don't have morale negation artifacts here. And this fight is primarily because it's very rich in experience, and I desperately want to develop Dessa. In my previous playthrough I brought halflings here. They help quite a bit. But I also had some of the morale negating artifacts, so it was way easier. So now it's kind of I'm trying to speed up the process with firewalls so that I would have to do the morale fishing a little bit less. He's gonna take experience here as well. And also very important thing, I'm gonna tell you about that later after this fight. So there is two ground heroes nearby. One hero is, I think it's a scout with like a very minor army. It's to the southeast from here, and another hero is next to the tent. And he's scared of Dessa with army. So I had to reach the ore pit and have this garrison army in it. This way, this hero will not be afraid and actually move towards me. And I want this hero to attack into my town next day. Dessa wastes a little bit of time this way, but well, such is life. It would be ideal if this hero attacked the town the very day when I captured it. But unfortunately he was preoccupied there clearing tent surroundings. Also, I don't want to garrison Dessa. I want Dessa sitting outside with one Scorpicore or one something, so that this hero would actually attack me. Okay, Lorelei prepares for the logistical chain operations, and everyone else also does. And also I want to clear these creature banks, the Dwarven Treasury later, and Naga Bank as well. But it's gonna be maybe a little bit later. For now I just can use them to retreat my heroes. Basically all my heroes need to participate in this logistic chain. And I would not be able to do that in one turn anyway, so kind of... Let's see, you'll see how I end up doing it. I will spend, I don't remember, 2, maybe 3 days moving the army back. But I also need to develop Dessa further, so that's kind of a tricky part. He's not yet a level I need him to be. I think he needs to be level 15, if I recall correctly. Also building up for resurrection. Castle is nice. In hometown. Not exactly sure I can afford it, but maybe I can. One automaton here is pretty nice. One of the best one stacks you could ask for. Boom. Oh, that's pretty good. Pretty good. And also, he used magic on my Quattles. And didn't kill one, so that turned out pretty good as well. Okay, last brown hero is actually pretty... not scary at all, let's say. Okay, Cornison is... Okay, let's see. That's a scout. Okay, that was a different hero, but probably with a comparable army. So Gunnar, I will need to fix his skill tree. Just yet. Okay, so Dessa will take the vampires, another opportunity to level up. This fight is easy, vampires don't have morale, so I could as well just kill them with 7 evil eyes I have. It would take a while. And I'm not sure I actually can move my harpies further. I will try to, but I think it may aggro them, yeah. That's why I was doing the lightning bolt. I have mana to spare, because Dessa will use mana vortex shortly before the dragon fight. And now I will use the mine to retreat with Dessa. And Lorelei will move backwards. I don't have a hero for Lorelei to chain into. So she will use a watering hole and will initiate the chain next day. Dessa will, though, require some time, so I definitely would not benefit much from bringing my army too fast. So I brought Dessa to that town, I think, to get haste that was in its guild. A little bit of wasted time. I think one of the shrines here actually has a haste. So I may have been able to visit it before, but I'm not sure. I don't remember which one, actually. If it was the one on the right, Des most likely would be able to visit it, because I used him in a chain before from that direction. And if it was on the left side, I would have to play it a little bit differently. Battle Academy. Okay, that's fine. Brown player is gone. Very, very good. Very, very good. And I think chain looks like chain almost, or maybe not almost, maybe fully ready. I don't remember exactly if I will take another break in my chain. Like, the total distance I need to cover is quite long. Let's put it this way. I had Dessa here, and I stopped Lorelei here to chain army to Sinka, because I want to use Pit Lords to retreat with Lorelei next day. And I will use her second time in this chain, I think. Basically, my idea is to move army to kill dragons fast and then immediately move it back to Gunnar to attack into the blue player as fast as possible. And now, after this fight, pay attention to this town and its surroundings. And here is a small puzzle for you. It's not a puzzle, kind of something of a not a very difficult thing to figure out. But this location is extremely important for my strategic plans, and two hints. So it is important for me to kill the brown player, so it's important for me to keep control of this town. That's one. And second thing, it's important for me that no other player comes there. Even if they maybe, okay, they may take the town, but okay, I could retake it, let's say. So even apart from losing the town, I don't want anyone there at any point, even once, okay? So any of these two things would screw my plans over big time. Wonder if you can tell me what is my plan? Oh, well, you'll know that if you don't guess it. Maybe like a bit further down the line. Not in this part. Also, I mentioned already that I was reloading auto saves to make sure that blue and brown player actually go where I want them, or where at least don't go where I don't want them. So for the brown player, I think I already mentioned it, but just to clarify that what I wanted the brown player to do is to basically be not far from my way. Okay, so my first enemy was Mondor, that I fought after taking first factory town. He was kind of on my way towards his capital, so that's fine. And all other heroes, basically like weak heroes, I don't care about. They wouldn't take the town, for example, right? With a garrison. But a stronger one, I would need him to be relatively close so that he would be able to attack me soon, right? Like he did. So that was my basically requirement for a speedrun, in terms of speedrun in this area. And for the blue player, what I desperately wanted him not to do is to get to that stronghold town that just took with Gurnison. And first time I actually played it, not first playthrough, but this playthrough, but kind of. I took this town, well, probably 135, like right now. And he came there maybe one day later, maybe even before that, before I was able to take it. Ruining my plans, basically. So I had to replay probably from like day 7 or day 3 even, and see where he could actually go in a different direction. And it turned out, I think it's day 7, when his hero had a choice between freeing a scout and going towards a tower town, and he chose tower town, and then basically homed in on going east all the way. Kind of basically non-stop went towards the stronghold. more or less. And if he went to free the scout, he actually went west and then kind of did some things there and wasn't really present in this part of the map. And also ideally I would want blue to go and take the bulwark town, more importantly. And build Jotuns for me, obviously. Okay, so the chain comes pretty good, but Dessa is not yet ready. So this chain is to take care of these creature banks here. Get some money, get money to hire units at home. Even though I got a capital free of charge, I still barely have any money to work with. A sad story. On my secondaries I don't really want to take new skills, unless it's a really good, important skill. So I visited a Tree of Knowledge with Des, and his has like maybe 1,000 or 2,000 experience left to the next level. Now, a very nice flag here to get a little bit of a boost before retreat. Okay, I'm not sure I had to really retrieve her that very day, but it's fine. I'll send her right after Dessa. And I already prepare heroes to chain army back to Gunnar after Dessa is back. There is a portal, one-way portal to hometown next to the dragons. So Dessa will need to kill these leeches. His experience requirements are so tight that he has to kill like, I don't know, 14 leeches or something like 600 experience to get to the required level. So I guess theoretically, if you were to improve upon this speedrun, I think this part could maybe improve by a day. If you were to find a better development for Dessa, so kind of I had a misconception that I require the expert air on him to fight dragons. So if I didn't have this idea, maybe I could find certainly someone else would be able to find, maybe in a different game, a way to develop him to get advanced Earth a bit earlier, maybe, so that you wouldn't have to spend this time basically boosting his experience up this much. And maybe you could chain a little bit more efficiently than I did. Well, you definitely could skip creature banks, for example, and if Dessa was ready, I would actually skip them and chain army to him. So that would make me one day faster, but who knows, maybe you could save even another day, I don't know. Saving another day would be quite a challenge for sure. Now that's a very long distance to cover with all this chaining. Also, I have some money now, but I only have it because I just cleared 2 creature banks and wasn't hiring too much before that. But I will surely spend most of my money, okay, all of my money, in just one go, and I even didn't hire most of the units I had there. I mean, I did not intend to hire other units, to be fair, but considering that I have a capital free of charge and a few extra towns to kick, and I can't afford hiring of one town, really, that's kind of funny, and I don't have dragons built, so it's not like my hiring is particularly demanding. Okay, I needed actually more experience than I thought. I forgot about this Cyclops stockpile. But still, it doesn't change much. I still needed to kill the leeches for 400 experience to get to this level. Not a particularly strong army, you could say, but Dessa has a resurrection, so I'd say it makes this fight pretty easy. Pretty easy. Now, next sequence is something I could theoretically save a little bit more time as well. Like another day maybe, potentially could be saved there. Okay, Scorpicores are a sacrificial lamb there. Basically, I just want to limit losses to a single unit. I don't intend to raise Ifrits. They're basically to be sacrificed here. There we go. So, here I will explain, I guess. So I could save maybe another day here, going through this portal. But the problem is, I don't think you can really like save 1-2 days before that and 1 day here. As it is, my logistics was trained. Although, granted, I spent some time developing my secondary heroes before that, so maybe if I skipped that, I would have a little bit more hero time for that. But let's say if Dessa would be able to enter this portal, if I had an extra hero next to the portal waiting to chain the army towards garrison in my starting town, for example, maybe it would be possible to save this 1 day. And also I would need this hero or another hero to fetch satyrs there, so it's kind of a task, okay? A pretty difficult thing to do, I think. But there is some potential, at least. Maybe someone can do that. Like, I mentioned 3 opportunities. Probably you can't do all 3, but maybe you can at least squeeze 1 day out of all of them. Okay, very nice. Gunnar is now with army and full movement points. So that's okay, I don't think I want to dismiss her, I mean him, or retreat rather. Okay, negative morale is a bit annoying. Time to develop good guy Gunnar there. Pit lords are very nice as well, addition to my army. Army is not very threatening apart from satyrs. And I will be splitting it, so I will find a great use for pit lords. That much is clear. And Gunnar, very also a very fortunate development. So Gunnar, well, one nice thing, he reached the town this day. That's pretty good. So I can hire a hero to move. I won't be using Dessa. Dessa barely has any movement left. If he had full movement at this point, obviously bringing him forward and pushing would make a lot of sense. But I will instead go and visit a library, I think. So I need to develop my main heroes as well in the process. Building a second town. Maybe not a bad idea, but actually I can barely afford it, honestly. So maybe it actually is kind of a questionable thing. Okay, I will send Celestine forward with the army to prepare a nice attack on the blue capital, very similar to what I did in my first playthrough, with a little bit different execution, but in general pretty similar. And so that's gonna happen in the next part. That's gonna be it for today. Thank you for watching. Please leave your thoughts in the comments below. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.